chasing 800 credit score. What I want to do in this video is give you all the details that you need and the patterns from high achievers, or what are called FICO high achievers, which is a 785 or higher. Let's dive into it. Okay, so the elusive 800 credit score, right? We've shot a lot of material and a lot of content on, hey, how do you build your credit score quick if you have no credit? Maybe you're a brand new immigrant to the country, maybe you're rebuilding, maybe you have no credit at all. What do you do, right? So there's a lot of different ideas out there. What we really need to do though, from that place, is to get old positively reporting credit accounts reporting to our account. That's it, to our credit profile. So that's AUs, that's setting up secured cards. There's all kinds of different strategies that we could talk about. And those are broken down into videos on this channel in the rebuilding credit section. I think that's where they all are. So anyways, what I want to talk about today is this idea of the FICO high achiever. And so the high achiever is something that FICO came out with. And so that is essentially just 785 or higher credit score. Now, what's interesting about this data is I'm going to be pulling data from, I think, like 4 different sources. So bear with me because it's a little bit all over the place, just because the updated information that we've got from FICO itself is from 2019. I've also got some reference data from 2016, 2013, and then some stuff from 2022 that we've actually got on the Wallet Monkey site. I don't know if you've seen this page before. It's not really a hugely popular page, just because I don't think people know where to find it, but we actually break down statistical data, and a lot of these are actually iframed into the site, so you can actually see, you can hover over it and get data. But yeah, this page isn't that popular, and it's got a ton of really good stuff on it. So I wanted to reference this as well. So here we are, let's go through this. I've got maybe a dozen bullet points, right? And I'll try and reference what year it came from as much as possible. Okay, so right out of the gates is high income is usually associated with high credit score, right? But what I want to start with there is high net worth individuals. When you hear that, what are you thinking? What is the price in your head, the amount of money that person makes in your head right now? As I just said that, what is it for you? Because for somebody, it might be 70,000, for somebody, it might be 100,000, for somebody, it might be $1 million. Like, to call somebody a high net worth individual or a high earner, like high achiever, all of this is just like a googly guck, because what you think it is and what I think it is completely different. So it opens up right out of the gates room for misinterpretation and limiting beliefs to creep in and tell us like, well, that's not us, so I'll never get an 800, or that's not me, so I'll never get a higher credit score, right? So stop that for a second, bear with me. All right, we gotta jump down to this section here. Okay, perfect FICO scores in America by income, and this is 2018 through, I think, 2022 data. 2018, a little over 38% of FICO scores were perfect. Okay, never mind. I don't know when this data is, but you can see it's actually iframed in from FICO itself. So here we go. Here is the highest of highest earners right here. They consider that 150K to 250K. So right out of the gates, you might have had a different idea, completely different idea. So just to ground this thing in reality now, in fact, that's what that is. And 20% of the population account for that. 21% of the population is $101,000 to 150K. Next, we've got 20.49% of the population is 76K to 100K. 76K is actually a really common income, especially when you combine it with your significant other. A lot of people hit over 100K. So you're high earners, you're high income earners, according to FICO. And then 18% was 51K to 75K. A ton of people fit into that, by the way. And it's interesting because the dialogue that they give me in the way that they talk about themselves is like, oh, they're not really a high earner. They're embarrassed to talk about how they make 50, 60K a year. Understand that that's still a really great income to be making. And according to this, like, you fit into a large demographic of the population. Okay, so anyways, let's get back on track now. So a high achiever is a 785 or higher. Next, some interesting data. So according to the 2013 data, high achievers accounted for somewhere between 39% of the population, but you saw on the 2018 data, it was like 38%. So I don't know what it is here in 2023. Somewhere around there, okay? As of 2019, 25% of Americans were 795 or higher. As of 2022, 21% of Americans were over an 800 credit score, okay? Just food for thought. FICO high achievers have an average of 11 revolving accounts. This is where the sauce starts to come out, right? This is where the goods start to come out, because you need to start putting yourself into this way of thinking. If this is working for high achievers, high achiever meaning 785 and above, maybe we need to start adopting some of this. That's the whole point of this video, right? Maybe we need to start putting some of this to play in our own life. Because again, remember, this game is not fair. This game has rules. There's a system created around it. There's rules and variables. We understand the rules. We know how to fish. We win the game. That's it, right? No different than Monopoly. So FICO high achievers have an average of 11 revolving accounts. FICO high achievers have an average of 5 installment accounts. Didn't know that. FICO high achievers have an average of 6 credit cards. Should be higher, right? Maybe that's older data, I'm not sure. I actually couldn't place that data. Nonetheless, let's continue. The average age of credit card, this is a good one. The average age of credit card accounts, or AAOA, for a FICO high achiever is 12 years old on average, and then the oldest is 27 years. Whereas if we go on the screen here, according to our 2019 data, what we've got here is we've got a difference of 12 years on average and 27 being the highest over here. And then on the left, somebody with a 635 credit score is the average is approximately 6 years, with the oldest being 12 years. So you see the difference between the two. This is the top 25% and the lower 25%. That's how they did this chart, because it's different than this chart. Because look at this one. This is the one from 2013. So we've got a 650 versus an 800. So we basically got an improver versus a high achiever, and then they're calling an improver 635, which it's not an improver in comparison to the 2013 data. So another big one, balances on accounts, right? The average high achiever has just $4,000 across all their credit cards as a balance, which they usually have balances running on 3 to 4 cards at a time. Contrast that to somebody with a 635 and they have over $6,000 on their credit cards, which here's what's crazy. That's gotten a lot better, because check this out. Somebody with a 650 back in 2013, the average was $25,000 on a credit card. That's crazy. And high achievers had 8,500. So now we look, somewhat recent, 2019, we have 6,000 versus 4,000. So the gap is starting to tighten up quite a bit. I would argue like a large amount. We're talking what, 18,000? That gap has changed, right? Okay, now let's talk about available credit. A FICO high achiever has 93% available credit, and a improver has 15% available credit. So they have a lot more cards maxed out, right? And then lastly, let's touch on this one on the chart, and I got a few more on my list here, is 96% of high achievers have on-time payments, and only 7% on the left. Somebody with a 635 pays all their bills on time. So only 7% of people with a 635 credit score on average pay their accounts. They have past dues, they got lates, they got all that, which lates I've talked about they can stay on your account for 5 to 7 years. So we do not want that. We want to get those off as soon as possible. Okay, so they have 3 to 4 accounts with balances reporting, averaging just $4,000, we covered that. High achievers also only use on average just 7% of their credit limit total across the boards. 70% of high achievers did not apply for new credit in the last 12 months. Interesting. And then this other one is kind of weird too. I'm not really sure where to place this data. FICO high achievers on average opened up new account 2 years and 7 months ago. And of course, we got the 96% of high achievers have no late payments on their history at all. I think the late payment one is one of the easiest ones that you could adopt right now. Some other ones that you could adopt is just playing the money game better and getting your balances down, getting your utilization down, right? So anyways, why I give you this is because, again, rules, variables, right? This is a system, this is a game. Once we understand these things, we can start to adopt our strategy to win. You want to win, right? I want you to win. I hope you want you to win. So anyways, I hope that this data helps open up your eyes to this. We do have quite a bit more data outside of that about high income earners, low income earners, etc. on this page. I'll link it in the description below. Some of this is timed out, it looks like, just because my browser, Microsoft. But the biggest takeaway I want to give you out of this video is that if we start to mimic and we start to apply these different things that we're seeing high income earners, high achievers, whatever you want to call them, starting to do, and we apply that to ourselves, what do you think our result's going to be? Better than we're getting? The same? Or worse? I argue better. All right, my friends, that's it. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback below, especially like what's considered high achiever. What are your stats? Are these accurate? Do they represent you, or are your stats somewhat different? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, as well as what they consider an improver and some of the strategies and things that you're trying to implement 2023 to get ahead. Thanks for watching. See ya. Hey, you should subscribe. 60% of you are not subscribed yet. Right there. Okay, bye.